Oh, apparently we're live. Let's just check. Excellent connection. It's good. We are live.
Yay!
Cool. Hello and welcome to a very special and live version of the A to Z of AV with Command AV.
Intro.
Well, yeah, okay, bear with.
We're going to do the intro now.
Sound effects.
So this week's episode, a very special New Year's episode on the letter L.
Which stands for?
Lighting. And it just so happens to be live too.
Yeah.
Which also starts with L.
Live lighting. Live lighting. Yeah.
That way.
Cool.
Not jive.
Not jive, don't do the jive. What? I don't know what the jive is. So, why is lighting important in AV?
Well, in our world, we do a lot of lighting control. And that's, we do a lot of smart lighting control systems. It's very important because
lighting forms the basis of almost every project that we tackle, I think, because it's a talking point in every single room. It's a talking point in every single project, even if it's not inside a house. Like recently we did a bar, which in itself had, 12 zones or 12 circuits of lighting. Gardens, they can have smart lighting. Pool areas, I can think of a pool that has 6 circuits of lighting, which is crazy because it's a swimming pool, but there are 6 different circuits of lighting, which is cool, especially for nighttime pool parties. And everything else like driveways, external gates leading up to a property. Lighting adds a nice touch to everything, really. And good thing with lighting is, like you've already said, it's what's the word? Integratable?
Yeah.
Very integratable. So we can control and use lighting in many ways.
Yeah, and not just switching stuff on and on, but dimming stuff to certain levels, setting scenes. That's exactly what I was going to say. Hey. Like setting scenes, so when you can push one button and it does more than one thing, but includes the lighting. So you have a cinema mode button on a keypad somewhere. You push that button, it can turn the TV on or bring down a projector, set the lights to a dim until the film starts, and then switch it off and has just emergency lighting. Well, there's coloured lighting as well.
There's coloured lighting, but before we move on to that, with cinema lighting, a clever system I'd done before was the lighting system was actively looking for a pause or stop command that was being sent to the DVD or Blu-ray player. So whenever that does happen, when the whole cinema room's in its movie mode, it brings the lights on to about 20%. So there's a faint glow of light, so you can at least see what you're doing. If anyone needs to get up to go for a bathroom break or to get snacks, drink, whatever, the system's always looking. As soon as you pause it, you get a little bit of light. And
very, very useful.
Yeah. And that's one of the many hundreds of things we can do with integrated lighting systems or smart lighting systems.
Yeah. And another thing that's really cool is, we can set the system to monitor in the evening or at night time when you're in bed maybe. If a sensor goes off somewhere, it can trigger certain lighting to come on. Or holiday mode, so you're away but you want it to appear as you're in. You can set the lights to come on at certain times in the evening and go off at certain times of night.
Random patterns at random intervals.
Yeah.
Just so it looks like there's some sort of movement in and throughout the house.
It's just an extra layer of protection when it comes to opportunist thieves.
Deterrence.
Deterrence.
Yeah. So, what are the 2 major categories of lighting, other than smart and not smart? What's the real term for those 2 types of lighting systems?
So we have centralised lighting and non-centralised lighting.
And what does centralised lighting mean?
It means lighting.
What do we do?
That is centralised.
In what way?
So all of the control, not all of the control, but where the lights are driven from, all of that circuitry, all of that electronics, all of those electronics are located in a central location together. So where we would have modules which would have a certain number of circuits connected to them in the house, and these modules would be in a panel all together. Whereas non-centralized, you would have your dimmers and keypad dimmers located around the house, and they wouldn't be centralized, but they would communicate through a different method.
So non-centralized lighting is like a traditional lighting system. You've got power that runs through a keypad that feeds a light circuit directly. Now, obviously, non-centralized lighting systems, if it is a traditional lighting control as such, where you've got switches and lights on the end of those switches, they can be converted to smart lighting systems by adding like wireless keypads, especially Control 4 ones, which basically give you full control of the light that's connected to that keypad, be it via an app or a remote or another keypad or an action that's programmed into the system.
What are the benefits of having a centralised lighting system rather than a non-centralised? Because I know where we would use a non-centralised system is mainly in retrofit, where there are cables already run, there's no chance the walls are coming down to run new cabling, so we would do it that way.
Well, that's
centralised.
Yeah, so with a centralised lighting system, it's the same as how you would ideally want, say, a network to be set up for all of the network connections, or in this case, all of the lighting connections to come to one single point. It means you can easily check, test, control, and use everything from that one point, rather than having to have distributed equipment all around the property to make it work.
Yeah.
So it's a neater way of doing everything, purely because it keeps it all together.
Yeah. So, what are the type of brands that we generally use?
Well, our favourite, Control 4,
Mm-hmm.
because it works, gets the job done, and it's not a bad price, I might add. Alternatively, Lutron is very good.
Yep.
Bit more expensive and a bit less flexible, but it is one of the granddaddies in the industry.
Yeah.
I've seen houses as old as, well, I don't know how old the houses were, but the lighting system, there was a date stamp on it from like 1985, and this Lutron system that I looked at in particular, at least 2 of the modules were still working. The rest had been, up to its neck in water. So
the good thing about Lutron is you see it everywhere. Like, there's a certain faith you have in a product when you see how far widely spread it is, how many people have it. Down here in East Sussex, there's a golf course that I used to work at, and they had Lutron, and I wouldn't have even thought they would have that kind of thing there. It's such an old building and such an old course, but yeah, they've got some Lutron there, so
it still works.
And it still works. It's never shown any problems. So, with that being said, the Control 4 stuff, we've never had a problem with it. So
that's a good point. I know of exactly 3 Lutron modules on projects that we've worked that have died with no explanation, except for in one case, flooding, shorted the circuit. No one's quite sure what happened, but water was involved, and water and electricity don't quite mix. It's just a bad move on every part.
Another manufacturer that we've used is Crestron.
Crestron, yeah. Very similar to Lutron, actually, isn't it? Yeah, the setup, just the general layout of the modules.
Yeah.
4 channels per module.
Mm.
Yeah, I imagine it's also equally expensive.
Yeah.
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 I know we've briefly touched on Rayco lighting, but that's all I can say about it.
Yeah.
We turned it on, we made it do stuff, controlled it through a Control 4 system, and that was kind of it. It didn't really, you know, it was fairly simple, similar to iLight. Ever heard of iLight?
No.
Yeah, so I've integrated one iLight system with Control 4. Again, it was surprisingly very similar to the Rayco system in simplicity. But yeah, nothing to write home about.
Sure.
You know, it turns lights on and off.
Right.
I'm sure there are dimming modules available, but this particular system, it's just on, off, that's it.
Yeah.
No. It is what it is.
So there's one thing being said, that all of this stuff is great when you're an AV integrator and you've got those partnerships in place and you can get access to all this equipment, but when you're just a DIY consumer type that
my favourite type,
that wants some kind of smart stuff, there are options available.
I'll tell you what, IKEA make a banging cheap, I don't want to say cheap, it's not even like it's cheaply made, it's just very clever in how minimalist they've made a smart lighting system work. I've installed a couple of, well, it was one system in 2 separate parts, but all you need is the main hub, however many dimmers and switches you want, and then however many light bulbs, LED strips. What else do they do? I think actually it's mostly light bulbs and LED strips that they do.
And those dimmers, they're little pucks.
Yeah,
They're
it's
so clever.
a little wireless puck that just sits on the wall, battery powered, which is not always the best, but after about 2 years of installation, we've not had a complaint yet about the battery dying. So, so far so good. And apart from that, you've got full app control as well, which is very nice.
Do you know
quite
if they're
smooth.
compatible with Alexa yet?
I don't, but
or other smart.
I think we should find out soon. You know,
I think we should
invest, build, play. Yes.
So
New motto there. Invest, build, play. Awesome.
That's our job.
But yeah, so IKEA is awesome from what I've used. Another popular one, which I know you're fond of, is Philips Hue.
Philips Hue, yeah. We were talking about colour earlier.
Yes.
We briefly
Circling
glanced
back.
over it. But you could go down, like the route that we would normally take is like a DMX
Yeah.
lighting system. So where we can control the colour that way from our processor. However, Philips Hue do something very useful, and it's more based around the consumer, where you have an app that comes with it and a hub, like just the same as the IKEA stuff, but the app that comes with it gives you a hue, it gives you a colour wheel that you can choose whatever colour you like. And also we can integrate that with our Control 4 system.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we've done it with a Savant system before. That went.
It turned on.
Yeah, it went okay. The colour, it's just the way in which the Savant system spoke to the Hue system was a little bit shaky, but yeah, they're not so intuitive. There's not a colour wheel. It's a slide. At least
bars.
back then it was. This was a few years ago now. They might have updated that.
Fingers crossed.
Test, play.
Yeah.
What was it? Invest, test, play,
Build.
build.
No,
Play?
invest, build, play. I forgot.
We'll get there.
Let's rewind.
Is there a chat thing on this? I'm not expecting anyone to be watching.
But just in case, no one has said hello yet.
Is anyone even watching?
I do not know.
I've never done a live before.
No. No, not currently.
Ah, someone tuned in very briefly.
That could be a bot. That can be anything really.
A bot.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's okay.
The world is being taken over by robots.
Yeah. Philips Hue, IKEA. I'm sure there's another DIY lighting system we've come up with. Something I've seen recently in, dare I say it, Poundland, like budget shops. I'm not going to name any names here, but
you just named Poundland.
No, but that's the shop. It's not the brand. The brand that they're selling is in
okay.
Poundland. So, the likes of Poundland, Home Bargains, B&M's, those bargain basement type shops, they are starting to sell smart Wi-Fi enabled lights and switches.
Are they the kind of thing you see when you search on Amazon for like Alexa
Wi-Fi
lights?
Yes.
And it's just Chinese brand.
That's exactly
X,
it.
Chinese brand Y.
And now I've tested these with the likes of Google Home Assistant, and they work very well. Very similar to the Belkin Wemo type stuff. So they just turn things on and off. I haven't used any like dimming light or setting scenes, but for turning lights on and off or just powering something, they seem to work very well with those kinds of like voice command systems.
Speaking of that, I've got something very similar at home. So we've got some generic 13 amp fairy lights that normally we turn on with it's on a plug socket. I just bought some of those works with Alexa plug sockets. And then I've set up some routines in Alexa. So I say, Alexa, I'm going to bed, and it turns off the TV. Well, it turns off the TV, then turns off the plug socket for the TV after a delay. It turns off the fairy light plug. And yeah, I mean, in terms of lighting, you could just do it that way. It's fairly simple.
It's quite similar to how the IKEA system works. The only thing that it doesn't need is the hub to connect it to your network, because they're all Wi-Fi enabled by default. So it's kind of like eliminating the middleman in that system. Yeah.
And again, it's something really easy to do at home. You don't need an electrician or a specialist. You just buy this stuff, plug it in and play. Buy, build and play and test. And
buy, build, play, test,
invest.
It's a work in progress.
Do stuff.
Yes. Okay, so
what else are we?
What else do we need to cover on lighting?
I haven't got that far. I didn't write any more down.
Cool. I think
that'll do.
That probably covers enough for this video. We've been going for just over 15 minutes.
It's a bit longer than my usual videos.
Yeah. Thank you for tuning in once again.
Thanks for watching.
To the, what's this called? A to Z of AV with Command AV.
In the next video, we're going to discuss a topic beginning with the letter
we're just back from Christmas. We haven't really thunk that far ahead yet.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
It is what it is, and we will see you again next week.